Unit 1, Linear Equations and Inequalities. Here are the 5 questions that I'm going to go over with you today. At any time, feel free to pause the video, try the question, play the video, and check your answer. Number 1, when you're solving an equation, you need to find the variable first. If your variable is on the left, you need to get rid of the numbers on the left. You will always add and subtract first. My x is on the left, I see a plus 3. We do the opposite and subtract 3 to both sides of our equation. 3 minus 3 is 0, so we can cross them off, drop down everything else. 38 minus 3 is 35. Last, x is being multiplied by 7. Opposite would be divide by 7. So we divide both sides of our equation by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. We're going to cross those out. That gives us 1x, or just x. 35 divided by 7 is 5. Once we get x by itself, that's our solution. The other thing you need to learn how to do is check. To check your solution, you just plug it back into the original equation. So replace the x with 5, simplify both sides of it, and if the answer is correct and it's checked correctly, you will get the same number on both sides. Second question, we have an x on both sides of the equation. Pick one, either the 4x or the x, and do the opposite. In this case, they're both positive. So if I choose the x, I'm going to subtract x. X minus x is 0. So I just drop down the 2. On the left, 4x minus x is 3x. And bring down that negative 7. X now is only on the left. I see a minus 7. I'm going to do the opposite and add 7. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Drop down 3x. Add your 2 and 7. Then x is being multiplied by 3, so we divide by 3. I quickly want to show you what would happen if we subtracted the 4x. The 4x is positive, so we could subtract that from both sides. 4x minus 4x would be 0. Drop down the negative 7. This is like a 1x minus 4x, which is negative 3x. Now my x is on the right. They're adding 2, so we're going to subtract 2. Negative 7 and negative 2 are negative 9. My positive 2 and negative 2 add up to 0. Last, x is being multiplied by negative 3, so we will divide by negative 3. Which also gives us x equals 3. The last thing you need to do is check. So you're going to plug 3 in for x. There are 2 x's, so you're going to plug them in twice. Simplify both sides, you get 5 equal to 5. Number 3, we see parentheses. When you have parentheses, you need to distribute. Now, when you distribute, you need to look for the number right before the parentheses. In this case, there is no number there. So I want you to write in a 1. So what we're going to do is multiply the 6a minus 5 times negative 1. So a negative 1 times 6a is a negative or minus 6a. A negative 1 times a negative 5 would be positive 5. Now be careful on this. When you look at the left side of the equation, we have 8a minus 6a. They're on the same side, so you combine them. 8a minus 6a is 2a. Now we're down to just an a on the left. I see a plus 5, so I'm going to subtract. multiplied by 2, so we divide by 2. Now again, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we can cross that out. We get 1a equals -2. For your check, substitute in -2 for a in both places. Simplify the left. You will come down to 1 is equal to 1. Number 4, moving on to inequalities. An inequality is something with a greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or less than. But they're solved just like it was an equation. So we have a 2 in front of the parentheses. We're going to distribute that. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times positive 7 is 14. Treat it just like it were an equation. So our x is on the left. They're adding 14. Our job would be the opposite. Subtract 14. Last, divide by 4. So our solution is x is greater than or equal to 5. Now, inequalities have more than one solution. If I plugged in 5, it would be a true statement. If I plug in numbers greater than 5, it's a true statement. So another way to show your solution is on number line. We're going to put 5 in the middle, put a number on the right, number on the left. Now, when you have greater than or less, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you circle and shade in. If you just have greater than or less than, you don't shade in. It's called a closed circle versus open circle. So in question 4, greater than or equal to, shade it in. Greater than shades to the right, less than shades to the left. So what that does, the numbers that are shaded are solutions to that inequality. If it's not shaded like the 4, it would not be a solution. Number 5, our x is on the left. We're going to add that 1 to both sides. Now, when you have a fraction, you can either multiply by the reciprocal or divide by that fraction. I don't have a calculator, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. All that means is you flip it over. If I multiply the left by a number, I need to multiply the right side by a number. Now, when you multiply reciprocals, you're always going to get 1. You have a 3 on the top and bottom, they would cancel each other out. It's like 3 divided by 3 is 1. We also have a -2 and a -2. Those would cancel each other out. So all of that's going to be equal to 1 or 1x. Now, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you're going to switch the direction of the inequality sign. So my greater than or equal to becomes less than or equal to. Then you're going to multiply 6 times -3/2, which is -9. Again, we're going to end by putting that on number line. Close the circle because it's less than or equal to, and shade left when it's less than. So remember, if you're multiplying or dividing by negative, don't forget to switch the direction of the inequality sign. All right, next, I would like you to try these 3 questions on your own. So please pause the video, start it back up when you're ready to check your answers. The correct answer to number 1 is x equals -27. Pretty straightforward. Again, pause at any time if you need to take a look at that. Number 2, the correct answer is -5. The last one, I worked out for you 2 different ways. You only need to do 1, but I wanted to show you the difference of subtracting the 6x or subtracting the 8x as your first step. Either way, you get the same answer. X is greater than -6. If you're looking at the second part on the right, you need to switch the inequality when you divide by a negative. Last would be to put that on a number line. -6. Open circle, shaded to the right. Now go ahead and put the arrow, do a squiggly, whichever you prefer. So when you come to class tomorrow, please bring these examples that you tried, and we'll be working more on this together.